Alright folks, and welcome to this week's episode of That's Mental Mate with me, Brad. I'm joined today by Jordan McKeith, singer-songwriter, Britain's Got Talent, finalist, daddy,
producer, in Spain,
amateur cook.
Exactly, I was really throwing there. I was going to say chef, but amateur cook, so I don't care.
So we start every episode asking how you are.
Yeah, great, I am that. If you had asked me that maybe 5 weeks ago, I wouldn't have been so great, but no, I'm in a really, really good place at the moment, and a turning point in my life, I think, so. Yeah.
Well, I guess we can maybe start, if people don't know you. So we both grew up together in Drummelho.
Yeah.
I remember you from primary school. It's like the wee Milky Bar kid.
Yes, with the glasses and the blonde hair. Yeah.
And then...
Or Shirtland, the boy to Shirt Little.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Him and the Milky Bar kid was that. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And we progressed from there. You started gigging. Was it like Starboy or something? Were you supporting?
Starboy Nathan. Can I swear on it?
Can I?
Because it's going to happen anyway, I'm sorry. That's a long time ago. That is... I forgot about that,
No, I think that's when our professional relationship started.
Yeah, 100%. I forgot about that. That was up in the OES Centre. Starboy Nathan.
Yeah, and then you were in the 3 Mile X Factor that I was reporting on.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of followed your career from then. And then was that would have been 2011, 2012, and then I think you were on Britain's Got Talent 2013. So why was that?
Britain's Got Talent was... as the time goes on, my whole the way I talk about it changes, Like whenever I was younger, if you had asked me that when I was younger, it would have been, it was a great experience and blah blah. During, and it was just shortly afterwards, and then as time went on, then I didn't really like it because of the way it affected my life. But the way I look at it now is it was a great experience, and I had a great platform. I probably didn't utilise it as much as what I had. But I was 18, and see, when you come from Northern Ireland, I think it's different if you're from London or likes of England and stuff. When you come from Northern Ireland, because there's not many people that come from here and go and do them shows, you become such a big thing here, especially in Derry. So I just got swifted away with the whole experience and the life of it. Probably didn't utilise it as much, but no, overall it was a great experience. I got to meet some great people. I got to sing with Ed Sheeran, which you can always... show the video to the kids and stuff whenever they grow up. But it was a great experience, but definitely don't think that was the height of my career, but we'll see what happens in the future.
No. I remember seeing that, the video with you and Ed Sheeran, was it in his trailer or something?
Yeah, so what happened? Was there's a girl that books the acts that come on the show, and they didn't tell me in the semi-final, but whenever I got through, they were like, Ed Sheeran singing. So on the final day, we're all there, and him, Taylor Swift, and your man Nick Grimshaw all came along at the one time, and he came over to me, and I couldn't speak. I was like, and he was like, you sang Little Things, wrote the song, and I was like,
oh yes, right enough. He wrote the song, for One Direction, didn't he?
And he was like, look, I'm in my dressing room afterwards, if you want to come on and sit with me for whatever, and I was like, that's cool. But I got to go and watch him and Taylor Swift rehearse. It was Everything's Changed. That was a song they done together, and I was the only one out of all the acts that was sitting there. I don't know if anybody really noticed, but I was just sitting there on my phone just filming. I was like, this is fucking brilliant. And then afterwards, I got asked to come over to his trailer, which is like, they were like caravans, very, very good caravans, like, and just sat in there the whole day, drinking beer and talking about One Direction and all our people and all. He was just such a nice fella, like.
Yeah,
great experience, and not just a nice fella for someone to meet as a celebrity, like a nice fella all around, like one of the nicest people I've ever met.
I've watched his documentary. He does seem very down to earth. Like even after all these years, if he's on talk shows, he's shirt and jeans.
Well, the thing is, he takes himself away, doesn't he? There's a lot of people that go they try and get their limelight as much as they can. You know what I mean? Like anything that's going, they're like, I need to be there. They try and get the paparazzi, whatever. Whereas I don't think Ed does that. I think he just sort of goes away to his wee home in Suffolk and chills out and probably drinks copious amounts of beer.
He's no phone or anything, and he just kind of takes himself away for...
That's it. To be honest, as I'm getting older, if I wasn't a musician or in that sort of line of work that I'm in, I would not be on social media.
No,
I think it's a killer, man. I think, I find myself waking up, and even though I don't want to do it, the first thing you do is your phone. Who's messaged or what's going on, and it's just, maybe when I'm in my 40s or 50s, I've always looked at my life in 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whereas I says I didn't want to drink in my 30s, and now I don't drink anymore, so, I just, when I think I'm in my 40s, and social media will be going, just see what happens, isn't it? Hopefully.
Well, that's a good segue, because I was about to say, whenever that first edition came out, you probably blew up on social media.
Social media. Oh, I remember we had watched the edition in my house. I had like a wee 2-bedroom flat in Canterbury Park in Kilfennan, and we were watching the edition. I must have had 50 of my friends in that house, and I mean, it was tiny, like. And my phone was sitting on the table, and as soon as I went on, my phone would not stop buzzing. It went on and on. We had to turn it off. It was just mental. I went from like 1,500 followers on Twitter to 129,000 in one night.
In one night?
In one night. It was mental.
And I'm sure that probably doesn't... It sounds amazing, but I think a lot of people would say, especially you were saying social media is not great in terms of your mental health, waking up and kind of staring at it. But then did you get like any backlash as well, or was it mostly positive?
100%. I remember there was one comment a girl put up on the semi-finals. It's funny now when you think back on it, like, she just went, because I whitened my teeth to go on the show, and she was like, Jordan O'Keefe is absolutely shit and brutal looking, but his teeth are nice. That was the only thing she said. I was like, alright. And I used to go on and go on Twitter and type in like Jordan O'Keefe shit and Jordan, like, just to fucking read them. I don't know why I did it, but it really, really does mess with your head, Like, see, as I got older, obviously when I was 18 then, when you get older you put on weight, and you fill out yourself, and I got so paranoid about my weight because of things that people would say to me, even now to this day still, like, but social media can be a platform for good things and bad. It can change your life, but it can ruin your life too,
Yeah, but I think that's what there's someone that says that, and I've noticed that myself in my books. Like, I would send them out before they're out to reviewers, and I know, say 50 people come back, 5-star reviews, brilliant, and that one person just goes, nah, wasn't for me, or I didn't really enjoy it, or I couldn't finish it, and that's the one that
still annoys you, because all the good ones are great, like, but that's the thing, and I don't know if the older I'm getting, I'm like, and I talk about my age quite a lot, because I do feel like as older I'm getting wiser, but I just look at it and go, I don't care, you know what I mean? I just can't be bothered with it. Don't get me wrong, it stays in there for maybe an hour or two or whatever, but after a while I just sort of let it go, and I have to. But I would say if things were to happen again, I don't know, maybe it would be a lot different. But you are right, whenever you have that one wee thing, it's a bit annoying, isn't it? But you can't please everyone. That's one thing I learned.
No, and I think I read before you said something about your careers kind of being the detrimental effect on your mental health.
Yeah.
Before you blew up in Britain's Got Talent, did you struggle mentally or no? So
no. Before I went on TV, I always thought I was mentally strong. Definitely. Well, actually, no. I probably would have had difficulty with relationships with women and stuff. That would have been. I wouldn't have handled them well, but I definitely didn't have the anxiety and the depression that I would have had. Going on TV definitely does, and it's basically all done just reading into everything that's going on. But the other thing for me was, the thing that hurt me most was I always dreamt of doing that, just becoming a musician and playing in front of big crowds and getting that adrenaline rush. Because I used to do karaoke when I was younger, and even that adrenaline rush was class. You know what I mean? You're playing to like 50, not even probably 50 old people, and they're like, "Oh, you're great." And then you go on TV and it's an even bigger buzz, and you're like, "I really want this. Like, I really want this to be my life." It's almost like a drug, you know what I mean? That's like, it's like you get that rush from the crowd. It's like fucking brilliant. And whenever that disappeared, that really, really hurt, because I thought the dream was over,
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to do with my life now? And the thing is, the good thing about it is it's not over. I needed all them mistakes to happen. Whenever Not That Britain's Got Talent didn't work out, I signed to Warner Brothers in 2017, had an album done, didn't work out. I messed that up, and then now that I'm getting sort of to this stage where it's like, right, my head's screwed on a bit more, and I'm a lot more mature about the situations, and I'm writing good music, and I now produce my own music. you sort of get to the stage where it's like, right, you can see something happening. And I do believe, drinking alcohol and being in that sort of mindset, that does not help. Like, I've been off, I haven't drank now in 5 weeks. And I don't plan to, I know I'll never go back drinking again, but see the mental clarity. Jeepers. I used to think I had to drink to get a good song out of me. Whereas now I'm in the studio and I'm just like, it's just even quicker and better and sharper. So I think things are going to get good next year.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
And can I ask, you said about you messed up the album. Was that tied into just you're in one of the biggest shows in the world. Simon Cowell is voting for you to get through to the finals, and he's like the music mogul of the past how many decades probably. So you're probably thinking, that's it, I'm going to make it. I'll release the song tomorrow, I'll go #1 and da-da-da. And is it kind of, that's not happening? Is that just what's affecting your mental health? And then obviously you mentioned drink, and I think you've spoke before that drinking drugs didn't help whenever. So when you were making that album, were you kind of?
Well, the album came a lot later, so it was 4 years later, and obviously things hadn't changed. You know, my drinking culture was still the same. It was probably actually worse, because I was just running about, just thinking everything was, you know, who cares? It's just a bit of crack, and I was singing a lot in bars, so that was my life.
Worst place for it.
You know, just running about, drinking, making money, and working. And it wasn't even, my head wasn't screwed on. I was making money, but I never had any money. It was always spent. It was living on the next week and the next week and the next week. And then I messed up the album. I sort of just drank too much, didn't bother, and I just sort of fried people's heads and stuff, and I just wasn't in the right mindset. And again, on our learning curve, you go, right, well, you weren't right. Imagine if things had went well, what would have happened then? And that's the way I look at it. I'm like, right, I'm grateful for what the opportunity that I had, the people that I met, the experience, because I learned how to write songs. People always say, oh, I need to write a song. Not necessarily. I learned from watching people do what they do. I just think it was a massive learning curve, big time. So I can't wait to see what happens in the future, like, honestly. Yeah. And
do you mind talking about that time of your life? Like, was there any really deep times where you were
just stupid, like sitting up to stupid o'clock in the morning, you know, like 7, 8 in the morning, and just, I don't get me wrong, I'm not the only one that's ever done it. There's loads of people doing it, and everyone that does it every weekend, and they think it's normal, and that's fine. People might just be okay with doing that. For me, it was like I always wanted more out of life, you know what I mean? I was sitting doing them things, and all I would talk about whenever you would be drinking was, you know, I want to be doing this, I want to be doing that. And then it's like, and then you come down the next day and it's like, I can't afford to do that. And then you put it off for 3 days, and then when you're feeling good again, you probably do 1 day's work and then go and do the same thing that night again because you feel good about one thing you've done. Whereas now I'm up every day and it's like I'm doing something. I'm like, the amount of stuff I get done today now is bananas. Like, it's just mental. And you go to bed at night feeling great instead of sitting up staring at your phone for 4 hours, you know.
But then I suppose, are you kind of comparing yourself to going out with your friends? It can be like, I'll go out on a Saturday and die all day a Sunday, and then I might feel like shit still on a Monday, but I'll just go into my office 9 to 5 job. And there's days I go out and come back, and the Sunday I'm dying, and Monday I'm still, I'm not 100%, you know. But whatever you're, especially creative, like if I could never sit down on a Sunday or a Monday and expect, right, I'm going to bang out 2,000 words. You're gonna
100%. And the thing is, it's, for me, it's worse because I don't have a Monday 9 to 5. Whereas if I had a Monday 9 to 5, you know you had to be there 9 to 5. You're losing your job. Whereas for me, it's like I'm gigging. I got to run and say, here, do you want to get that gig covered for me? Some boy pops in, great, I'm off, happy days. And that would happen quite often. And then the thing is, I probably only work a Thursday, day, Sunday, but then 3 days you're working. And the thing was too, I could go and drink and get up the next day hungover and probably still a wee bit still half fall on and go straight over to town and play because you're a musician. Nobody really cares. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas if you work behind a bar and you came on pissed, people were like, hey, hold on, lad, you can't come in to work here drunk. But people go and drink and play. So it's not really, they don't care as long as they get a song out of you, and that's just the way it is. So definitely
that whole rock star.
That's exactly it. And hey, it was, don't get me wrong, I've had some really, really good nights and some really good gigs, and I've enjoyed. And I don't regret one thing. I don't regret it because it's all a part of learning and getting better. And I'm not even 38, But whenever I'm 30, I'm pretty sure I'll have my head screwed on and things will be moving in the right direction. I'm 30 next April, so I have an EP coming out in January, so we'll see how we go.
Very good. And do you think you were saying about you looking back, you were deliberately, so it wasn't even like you were putting a photo up on Instagram and someone just wrote under it something awful, you were deliberately going out to look at people's...
Not as more as I got older.
No.
Probably when I was just after Britain's Got Talent, I would have looked on it, because I don't know, my mindset was like, I don't want to become cocky, I don't want to become, you know, when I wanted to see what people are saying, I don't want to hear all the nice things, I wanted to hear the bad things too.
Would you not think that was self-destructive?
Big time, I think. Don't get me wrong, it was going to happen anyway. Like, I was going out and nights out and people were just saying the most horrible things to you, like, didn't even know you. And then they would hear a story and like, oh, he's a fucking asshole and you're this and you're that and you think you are someone. Whereas I was the most insecure person you'd ever get. I might have came across that I was big-headed, but far from it. And I just think people, and I do think the people that do that have a problem with themselves too. You know, if you feel like you're going to have to give someone abuse on a night out and you don't even know because you've seen them on the TV, you need to go and have a look at yourself too, you know, and try and think, why am I doing that? Because it's not nice, like, especially nowadays. And the thing was, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have had the culture now that you would have had. No. Like, now you can't give hate all night without backlashing on you, or maybe losing your job or whatever. Back then, everybody was just giving me abuse. You know, even some people that I would have run about with too weren't as nice. And you think, oh, just because they're my friends, that you take it, but it's not nice, like.
Did you have any problems with trolls, like faceless profiles?
Yeah.
Or
before I actually went on TV, I did. Somebody was just relentless of everybody that would put up just slagging me, and I had a lot of. There's a girl that catfished me one time too. She catfished all my friends. So like people like that there too. Just a lot of weird things would happen.
Do you mean catfish like you went to meet her, or
no?
She pretended to be you, or
there's actually there's a season of catfish coming out UK that I'm on this year, talking about it. Now she never catfished me, but I do know who she is, and I have spoke with this person online on Snapchat. It was, and one of my friends actually thought that they were in a relationship at one stage. It was just bananas. But she actually has done this with loads of famous people. So it's like, apparently she's serial at it, like, and even if it is her, I don't know. But like, she's done it with like all her famous singers and stuff, and she's just catfished them. Madness, like.
And would you think to get that culture of catfishing is brought into it, but trolls, and then people in real life?
Yeah.
Would you see like an increase of people online rather than people in real life, or would it kind of be more of the same? Or
I think back, see the thing is, 10 years ago too, isn't it? So now nobody really says anything nasty to me now. In real life, years ago, I would have definitely got it on nights out, like. But that's just because people, unless I go back to Northern Ireland being quite small, like I would have went out in Derry quite a bit. And you know, as time went on, people were just like, "There's Jordan." You know, but at the start, it was a big deal, and then after a while, it wasn't. Whereas then when you went up the country, and nobody really seen me, they're like, "Oh, still even this happens now to this day." And a lot of people are nice now. I would find online was probably, but online's a lot easier for the spineless ones, you know, just to come on and give you whatever they want. So no, I would definitely say online's a lot worse, and people to your face are actually, you know, going, fuck you, don't like you know what I mean?
I've seen like comedians before saying like they get faceless trolls and they don't think anything of them, and then people would shout out at gigs, but they're like trying to join in or trying to have a bit of crack, or whereas at a gig like yours, if someone was shouting out, a heckler, isn't it?
Yeah, heckler.
I don't think they would.
I don't think I've ever had that. I don't think I've had anyone ever at gigs sort of give me. No, I have once, but it was nothing to do with me. But no, I never really had that. You're right though. Comedians is different though, isn't it? You can sort of shout it and they sort of bump their back. But
and do you think that like some people, there's this whole childhood thing, like, oh, if someone's slagging you, they're jealous of you. Do you think maybe if you had showed up to a bar and maybe someone went, oh, I'm going to get a photo with him, and Do you think maybe they seen you getting photos and thought, I think he says something kind of
Oh,
thing?
100%. But there's times too people would ask for photographs and be slagging you know what I mean? Trying to take a picture and go, oh, let's take, you know. And that's the thing too, that's where the lines will be blurred sometimes, because you wouldn't really know if someone, especially males for me, whenever I was gigging, boys were like, can I get a photograph of you? And this boy probably generally wanted a photograph, but I was thinking, this cunt's winding me up. And then you're like, you're trying to be funny in the photograph or whatever, and then they probably turn and go, he's a dickhead, you know what I mean? So it was just very, very difficult to judge or understand what was going on, because you didn't want to be made to look like a dickhead as well, but you were trying to protect yourself. And generally sometimes people were just really, really nice. I've had many good encounters and many bad ones, like, so rough or smooth.
And do you think it's easier now? I think you said, apart from growing up and everything, do you think when you look back, you said you were immature, you were only 18, you were on one of the biggest shows in the world. Do you think you could look back and think, if that happened to me now, I would react different? Or
100%. It still does happen now, you know. Now, but back then, now I have the crack of people, which makes them sort of at ease too, because it's sort of, well, he's actually something, do you know what I mean? Whereas before I would have came in all shy, and they not shy that I don't like the way I'm acting, like all like that, but I would have been shy, so I wouldn't have spoke to anyone, which gives off the impression that they think that I think I'm someone, which wasn't the case. I was just shy because I didn't know what to say or how to react. Whereas now that I'm just what's the crack, how you getting on, and just chat away to people. I'm a lot more confident now than I ever was, you know. So that definitely does help. I think, you know, I know things will progress soon, and probably I might be in that limelight again, but definitely know how to handle it, and I'll not put myself in them positions again. I'll not be running the bars, I'll not be running the nightclubs. I'll be sitting at home, you know what I mean? So
do you think you had a bit of imposter syndrome? Maybe that kind of didn't help.
What's that?
So imposter syndrome would be, like, people have said, like the famous people have said, they can't believe it's going to happen to them, so they feel quite awkward. And like the way you were saying, people were kind of talking to you and you were kind of shy, you didn't really want to talk about it, and maybe that seemed that you were coming across arrogant.
The thing is too, people ask you the same questions all the time, so you're the same answers all the time, and you sort of think then, fuck, I just repeat myself all the time. And I don't know, I didn't want to come across that I was big-headed, so I think that's why I shied away, but immaturely not knowing that maybe that made people think the way they thought. So I don't know. I don't know.
And if you don't mind talking about it, the very early stages, I think was it Belfast Live or Belfast Telegraph you talked about?
Belfast Telegraph. I'm trying to get it removed now.
And you were saying that you just were going through a really hard time.
So basically how things happen is just, you know, you drink, you start out drinking, you think everything's great, and you're running about and everything's fucking fantastic, and you're out seeing girls and life's great and all, and you think everything's fantastic, and the next thing it moves on to different parties, and next thing in you're sitting in some boy's kitchen, the others, and you know, and you feel great because the situation is great, but deep down you're only prolonging what was going on. And I was probably hiding a lot of depression from what had happened, you know, not fulfilling what I was doing, watching other people probably do better and being like, fuck, why did I not do that, or why is that not happening with me, and then going back to the same things and partying, and you weren't really going anywhere. But I think I also needed to do that to myself, because I never really loved the life. I never writing songs. You need to write. I remember I was at a party one night with a fella, and I actually know his name, but I'm not saying this. And we were sitting and we were listening to Jerry Singing, and he goes, "See, O'Keefe, that's the fucking difference there between you and him." And I was like, "What?" He says, "He actually has stuff to write about." And I was like, "You're right. You're 100% right. I had nothing to write about." And I'm not saying, like, we grew up a lot different to other people. We didn't grow up in a council estate or anything like that. There was a lot of musicians, because they talk about that sort of growing up, you know what I'm saying? We grew up with sort of, I wouldn't say privileged, but probably a bit privileged, you know what I mean? We were away on holidays every year, 4 times a year, living in Spain and stuff, and it was like, who the fuck wants to hear a song with that? Like, you know what I mean? People want to hear about the hard times and heartbreak and love and all that there, and I just didn't know anything about that, so probably had to go and live my own life. And I do believe everything happens for a reason, so I do think all the things I've done in the past and everything that's happened has happened for a reason.
I think it was Ella Henderson said that too. When she came back, she said, I was 16 on one of the similar position to yourself, one of the biggest talent shows. I had nothing to talk about, I had nothing to sing about, and she went away for a good while, didn't she? And then she came back and she brought out a new album. She's doing well now, and
James Arthur too. You know what I mean? Just had to take a break from it and go away. And I've released music and I've done things in the past, yes, but the stuff I'm going to release now is probably the best I've ever done. So, and I'm just going to go with it. I'm not going to. Every time I've always done something before, I've always released something, and if it hasn't went well, I've stopped. And I've always rushed things. Like I released a song there. The last song I released was called You, and it was a very, very good song. But I just rushed the production, and it just doesn't sound as good as what I thought it should be. Whereas now I just need to take my time and get things right and release it, and I've just keep pushing it.
Have you felt pressure to bang stuff out before they were ready? Or
on myself.
On yourself?
Yeah, because I released a song last year for getting married, called "Making Me the One." And it was about just falling in love with my wife, and then I felt like I need something afterwards in the summer, because I wrote this song called You, and it was like a summery tune. It was very upbeat, and I was like, it needs to be out for the summer, so I just rushed it. And the other thing is too, see, if I hadn't been probably drinking, I probably would have got it done quicker, because I would have been on there more, dedicating my time to it. Whereas, and this is the mad thing about drinking too as well, if anybody's ever listening to this that's going through this, like whenever I was drinking, I would have rushed everything to get to that pint. Whereas now it's like I'm not rushing my life. It's like every day is like, right, sure, just we'll do this, we'll do that, and I'm not rushing everything. And like the other day, I was up seeing my friend. I was up in Belfast, or the Rabbit Hotel, up doing a wedding, and I finished up, and he was in hospital. He was in a very bad car accident, and I went up and met him. I went and got him food. We sat in the hospital, sat there for an hour and a half, just chatting away, and then I went home. And I was thinking on the way on the road, I was like, see, if I had been drinking, I'd have finished that gig tonight, because I knew I was off the next day, and I would have been working on the Thursday. It was on a Tuesday. I had got in that car, said, I'm not going to see him in the hospital. Drove as quick as I could down that road to get into the bar to have a pint, and sit there all night and waste half the money I had made the day. I mean, a mad mentality, and when everything changes, you're just like, what was I doing? And
do you think it was a vice or a coping mechanism, or do you think it was kind of just...
I think it was just the fact that I started drinking when I was about 16, 17, and just the drinking culture. It is the drinking culture here, and it was just the fact that that's just what it was. And obviously, I've kids now. I've 3 of them, so I was just Enrique's been my stepson, and I've been his father since he was 1.5, 2, and you know. I grew up not really being there as much for him, but then in the same thing I was like, well, he's my stepson, you know what I mean, I probably shouldn't, it's the wrong way to think about it, but that's probably subconsciously what was going on in my head. Whereas now when I have my 2, it's like I don't want to miss them things that I missed with Enrique growing up, you know. So there's a lot of things like that too as well. I have kids, I want to work in music, I actually want to do something in my life instead of just gigging in bars all the time, because you can do that and make good money and it's great, but I haven't worked as hard as I have in my life and put as much into my talent or my work and my talent to fucking sit and play in the Thursday wood every Saturday. As good as it is, I definitely want to get something more. I want to make my kids proud too. I want them to see me and know at that level. So
I suppose it's the antisocial aspect of it too, because you might miss their bedtime or have to run out straight after dinner, and then you could be there for a couple of hours and then run somewhere else.
As I was saying to you earlier, you know, I'm trying to get away from the gigs, not for the fact of I want to, because I love them. It's more for the fact of I want to be a better father, you know. And it's all good making money, but you know, times whenever they say, "Oh, Dad wasn't there," and it's like, fuck, you know, it's a bit shit. So, and you know, my dad worked a lot, and he was away. And don't get me wrong, he was there a lot of the time. We spent a lot of time with him, but you do remember the times that he wasn't there, you know, because he was working. So I definitely still think I can work and make good money, but I want to be there for them. I want them to be proud of me, and I just don't want to be running around me fucking arseholes anymore. You know what I mean? And spending a Wednesday night in the 3 Mile, as good as the 3 Mile can be at times, no. And I was looking at something with my wall too as well. You know?
My dad. Exactly. Shout out to my dad if you're listening.
Exactly, he's probably on there now. And so you know, me and Wall sitting having many nights, and just sitting chatting away. Yeah, your dad's fine. But no, I just can't be bothered with it anymore. I want to get, like, the likes of your dad can go and have a pint because he's got himself sorted out, you know what I mean? He's Walt Chambers, you know what I mean? But for me, it's Jordan O'Keefe and he slings and bars, but I still want to get to a level where I'm doing well, you know what I mean? The music's doing well, and we'll see what happens. So.
And do you think when you look back to then, like that is a pivotal point, you turn 18, you're going out with your friends, you don't have to worry about getting into bars, and you're trying different things, and do you think maybe, not to make it sound like you were a childhood protege and you missed out in your childhood, but do you feel like your friends were doing something different to you and that's why you kind of wanted to join in on the drinking culture? Or
well, we always would have started drinking. I think we started drinking like 16, or maybe might have been a bit earlier, I don't know. When we were leaving school and stuff, we went down to St. Collins Park and got a bottle of Frosty Jacks, and
probably seen you there.
Exactly, just sitting listening to music, and there have been hundreds there on a, you know, it was summer holidays were mental, and that started then, and just nights out drinking, and the crack was great. And then, but as time goes on, things get older, and I do think Derry has a wild problem with drugs at the minute. There's just so much of it about. It's so accessible. Everyone's doing it. It's like I always said, right? I remember I started smoking to be social when I was younger, because everyone went out for a smoke and you're just sitting chatting and the crack was good. And then you'd be away from all the, you know, the madness inside. You go outside and have a smoke with someone and chat away, and then you think, oh, I made a new friend. And then you were going to parties in and people were just taking drugs flat out, and it's like, all right, so this is the new thing, and it gets a hold of you, like, it definitely gets a hold of you, and it's the most expensive thing to be at. So if anybody is at that crack and you're sitting here listening, going, what am I at with my life? And you're still snuffing lines and drinking, then you need to stop snuffing lines and drinking.
And did you feel like you had a problem with it, or do you think it was kind of sociable? Because there's a difference between being sociable and then there's a difference between, like you said, you couldn't wait to get out and get to it, or was it more that you felt you needed it?
I'm a sociable drinker. Like, see, even though I go out and drink zeros, and my brother's been off a drink now 4 years, Andrew, he's done very, very well. And he just says one day, that's it, I'm done. And that's what I want to do, you know. And I'm still very early stages, and I could probably go off the rails in 2 months. But in my head, and this is why I'm saying, my brother would say to me, I'm worried that you're going out, because I was out there earlier today. I met a friend, and I said, I'm going to have a pint when I'm there, pint of Zero Guinness. And he was like, oh, in the sunshine, pinting. He says, don't be doing that, you might feel a trigger. And I was like, but I don't want to drink. Like, I don't want to have the feeling anymore. Something happened to me, see, a couple of weeks ago, and it just changed everything for me. I was like, I had to get surgery and stuff, and I was like, you know what, I don't need this shit anymore. This life's too short. What am I doing wasting my time in there? And just one thing happened, and it sort of wised me up a bit. And
do you feel like you would need to go out? It's just a sociable thing as well. If you have the zero, no one knows that you're, unless they look at the wee zero.
I can still have the crack. I can still have the, like, I was out there the other day just chatting away. Everything was great. When it was time to go for me, it was time to go.
Yeah.
Whereas every night I was going out, I was always chasing a high. I was always like, what's next? Couldn't settle, couldn't enjoy the moment. Whereas now I'm just sitting and having the crack, and I'm sort of having more sober chats, which is obviously sober chats. But before, you know, I probably wouldn't have really got into myself until after 2 or 3 pints.
Yeah.
They start really chatting,
open yourself,
and they're just chatting absolute nonsense. And the stuff that will come out of me, I'm like, what are you talking about? So now it's just a bit more sensible chatting. I enjoy it a lot more. It's only been 5 weeks,
but again, talking about the culture, like, if someone thinks, why are you not drinking tonight? What's wrong with you? Or do you work tomorrow? Or sure, have a couple. Or
like, I see people I've told, like, I'm not drinking ever again, and they're like, you're gonna have it for a while, you'll be back. And I'm like, no, I'm never drinking again. Like, I don't want to drink. And they're like, wise up, surely. No, I don't want to.
And you think that's reserved for people that have a problem? And it shouldn't be. It should be just someone that wants to.
I think this is what Andrew learned when he was away. You know, when, like, anybody who depends on what to drink once a week or whatever, they say that you're an alcoholic. I don't believe that to be true, 100%. But people need coffee every morning. They wake up. People need certain things to get through in their life. But for me, it was I would go through periods of, like, so I'd go out and have a couple of pints and I'd be grand and go home and have a bite to eat and go to bed, and that would be me, no problem. But there's times then I would, like, go out and get absolutely obliterated drunk and then sit up to all hours in the morning and try and ruin my whole life, you know what I mean? And sometimes I wouldn't know where that would come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Could go one way or the
could
other.
go one way or the other, and that's fucking dangerous. That's not good, like. So,
And do you think that's the mood you're in, the company you're with, just how you're feeling that day, or is there no?
definitely. Like, see, my Andrew would say to me, like, I would say, Andrew, I'm fine, and I would always say to Andrew, I'm fine, and he knew it wasn't fine. You know what I mean? Like, me and him talk on the regular now, nearly every day about things, and he's sort of becoming like a sponsor to me and helping me with things. And he's not really, but that's what they are, sponsors. They sort of, if I had any problems, I know I could phone him. And what was I saying? I forgot.
If it's how you're feeling that day, or if it's your company.
Yes, sorry, I sort of got lost up in front of Andrew here. Then I got emotional there. So he would say to me, you know, if I've had a bad day, that's what I would do. I've had a stressful day, I'm going for a pint. And that's not the way to deal with it, and that's the way I would have dealt with it. And a lot of people are like that, and they're fine. And this is the thing too, a lot of people can go and have drinks and come home and be alright and love their life, whereas I can't do that. And that's and accepting that. And I tried for years to be like, no, I have this under control, and telling myself I've it under control when I don't. And yeah, definitely it's not easy, like, but I'm doing well. I haven't even thought about a drink, you know. I don't even care about it anymore. It's madness. Because before, I could not even go a week, 2 weeks. The longest I ever went properly without touching a drink or a cigarette was roughly about 2 weeks, and it was fucking hell.
Yeah, but I think if you know you're missing it, you know there's a problem.
Whereas now it's like I don't even like I'm out singing in bars and I see boys falling. I'm like, I would hate to be like that tonight. And it's hopefully
see him tomorrow.
And hopefully it stays like that.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, if it ever comes to a stage where I feel like I'm craving an alcoholic drink, then I'm almost sure I can go and sort it out. But that's definitely the way forward for me anyway.
There's a good podcast I listen to. I'll probably talk about him loads, but it's called On the Mend. With Matt Willis from Busted, and he's a recovering alcoholic and a recovering. He's actually up in the NTAs. Well, not when this was getting recorded. NTAs tonight for his addiction documentary. And I'm just a big fan of his. I've always been a big fan of Busted and all that stuff. But he talks to different people on his podcast about. Just about anything on the mend. It could be anything, but a lot of the time he kind of says, well, when it comes to alcohol and drugs, he's like, people expect you to hit rock bottom. And he's kind of like, you don't have to hit rock bottom.
No.
You can just kind of think, right, I don't like the way my life's going.
Well, for me, it was absurd what happened to me. I'm not getting into depth of that because I can't, but something happened to me and I had to get surgery, and it was like, what am I doing? Like, and it happened in an alcohol environment. And I was like, it's just, what am I doing? Why am I putting myself in these positions on a Wednesday fucking night, like? And I was like, I just can't be bothered with this anymore. And I'm almost scared to have a drink just to see what will happen. You know what I mean? Just I don't want to see what's going to happen ever again. And like before, I would always think about a drink, and I get that, ooh. Whereas now it's like I feel sick when I think about it. It's mad. But I definitely didn't hit rock bottom. I've definitely been in worse places before, and I've told people I'm going to go off the drink and then come back at it. But I've never said ever I'm never going to drink again. I've always waited, and when I'll go off the drink for a couple of months and see how I get on, then I'll ease back on it. And then when you ease back on it, you just one night you're away and you're at something 7 a.m. again, and it doesn't work. You really run. If you're like me anyway, and there's no stop button, you really run, you're out.
And I think that people have very different relationships with alcohol. Like, I know people that could drink from noon to night and get up the next morning, go straight on it as soon as they wake up. I know people that don't drink. I know people that drink once every 3 months and go absolutely mad and go, what are I out for? And then that's them for another 3 months. I know people that are out, like, I'm not going to lie, me and my friends our group chat is the Highland Battalion. And we're just in the Glen Bar every weekend, but it's not, we don't go over the age, we just have a bit of crack. There's times we go in there on a Sunday and there's one driving, or there's one, like, it's...
As long as, the way I look at it, as long as you're not fucking ruining your life, and as long as you're not ruining your bank account, and as long as you're not ruining other people's lives, then there's nothing wrong with it.
And
my problem was, I was spending too much money, hitting myself and my own family were fucked off of me, you know what I mean? So it was like, there's nothing wrong with that.
And as long as you can go out and drink a 0%, like if you say you're sociable, it's whenever you're sitting on your own, drinking or sniffing, and there's no one around you, you're kind of going right.
Sometimes that would happen to me. Sometimes I would have went into my studio, and that's what would have happened. Nights I would have just sat in myself drinking, and maybe doing an hour, but got this stage, and it was just like, I even thought about it. I was cleaning my studio out today as well. I've put new things up, so I had to clean it all out. I was just sitting thinking the times that I sat in there and just by myself. And it's sort of sad, like it's fucking sad, but that's what I would have done. And then you're waking up the next day at 3 o'clock in the day, and your head's banging, and you've done nothing, and it's just like shocking life, shocking way of life. So I'm glad it's changed. Big time. And
would you say a lot of your mental health problems would have been revolved, because they say it's a depressant, and I know, like, I've never, I'm not just saying this for the podcast, I generally have never took drugs, because I'm like, sometimes if the states I would get in on a Saturday night, the Sunday daytime, the fear and the paranoia, if I was on drugs, I wouldn't be here. The paranoia.
So with drugs, so drink for me, right, would have got me going, and then the drink I would have got drunk, but the thing was, then the drugs would have brought you around. So you weren't drunk, and you were able to continue the crack on. And the problem was, then you were continuing on the all hours in the morning, and it's such a high that the next day you still will be on a high the next day. So the next day when people say, "Oh, my hangover wasn't as bad," the day after, but the day after that I was fucked. That's what happens. You're still on a high the next day. And then see the day after that, like, I mean, my energy levels were fucked. Like, I couldn't even get out of my bed. Like, the thought of them walking down the stairs was just shocking. And I probably wouldn't have ate the whole day. And that's another thing too. Don't know how I didn't lose any weight, because I was a fat wee bastard a couple months ago. After surgery, I've lost more weight than I ever have. But it's one of them things. And don't get me wrong, I've had some really good nights, but just never want to go back to it again. Never. No,
well, like I said, it is good that you can still, you feel like you're not losing out, or you're not being antisocial, and 100%. even with your friend in hospital, like that's even making you more sociable, because if you were drinking, you wouldn't have been able to see him, kind of thing. So it's good.
And I would have went to 3 Mile on a Wednesday night with nobody else sitting there, and just sitting on my phone, probably drinking a pint, when I could be doing other things, or meeting up with a friend for dinner, or doing something, you know what I mean? And
I'd probably get Wayne's to bed.
Exactly. Put the Wayne's would have been in bed anyway, and that's another thing too. Just spending more time with the kids, like.
I suppose if you're lying hungover the next day and they're jumping on your head.
Well, I'd still get up and play with them. Playing with the kids is alright during the day and stuff like that. It's when it comes down to tedious jobs, like making them dinner and stuff, and I would have done a lot of cooking and all that. I would have went through periods of being good and bad and good and bad and good and bad, but I just look forward to what's going to happen down the line. Just every day I take each day as it comes now, which is good. So
very good. And do you think your mental health is a lot better now that you aren't drinking, or aren't?
100%. Mental, the difference, the clarity and stuff, and my anxiety is nowhere near what it used to be. Depression, I don't have any. Not in the last couple of weeks anyway. After surgery, things were a bit hairy, because I'm coming off serious meds and stuff. My first week after that the anxiety was shocking. Whereas things like I'll give you an example. I got a message this morning from an unknown number on WhatsApp. 3 messages at 4:15 in the morning, and then they were deleted. Like, see, if I had been drinking, my anxiety, who's that? What did they message me at that time? Whereas I woke up and I was like, who the fuck would have that been? Forget about it, doesn't matter. So if they wanted me, they'll get me. And to be able to deal with situations better, a lot more energy, and everything's just 10 times better.
Yeah.
And like, whenever I finish here now and get home now, doing 2 hours work in the studio, whereas before I'd have been straight to the bar probably, or on my bed, knackered because I've been working all day. So,
and do you feel like I know we're both creatives, but do you feel like when you're doing that kind of work, it's helping your endorphins, and it's making you feel better, because even if you don't have anything to show for it within yourself, you're you could go in and go, oh, I did this day, and everyone might be like, right, whatever, but you're proud of yourself, kind of, and you're happy with what you've done.
I'll give you an example. So yesterday, right? And I told, like, my dad used to do this to me. I got this done today, I'm like, would you fucking shut up? Well, yesterday I got up, I cleaned my whole wardrobe out, took me 2 hours, got up then, washed the car, went and got all the groceries for the house, came back, put up the hooks in the studio, made the dinner, and then got a shower and went to bed.
Yeah.
It was a long day, like, and I was all in one day. I think that's fucking madness. I would barely even done the groceries a couple of months ago, you know what I mean? So,
and if you were out the all hours on a Saturday night, Sunday morning, you might have just lain.
Done nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing to show for it.
Like I've went off a drink before, but I've always said I would go off it for like a month or two. And I'd always still have a wee drink in the house, you know, like a wee glass of wine. And to me, that was me being off it because I wasn't partying.
Yeah.
No, I'm off it. That's me. I'm not done with partying, but I'd still be drinking like a full bottle of red wine in the house, like once a week, and smoking half a pack of fags. I haven't even had a cigarette either, which is mental because I used to go to gigs all the time and I feel like I need one or I don't need them anymore. And whenever I would go off it, like the levels of work I would do in a day was nuts, and then obviously when I started drinking again, things would drop. So it's clear to see that alcohol is a massive problem. So for me, anyway.
Well, you've said a few times about how you're looking forward to the future, and so you were saying you've got your studio up and running.
Yep.
Do you want to tell us? I know we were talking a wee bit before, but if you want to talk, if anyone's interested.
So Woodridge Studio came about. My mum and dad's house was called Woodridge, and I loved the name, so I wanted to call the studio Woodridge Studio. I've always had the idea of doing it because the thing is, in Derry, there's not a lot of people around here that would. There's not a lot of studios around here, first of all, but there's not a lot of people that you can go to that will give you great advice. And I've had a lot of experience in the music business. I've been signed to Warner Bros, been on Britain's Got Talent, I've done this, done that. So I'm able to give people advice, but also help them. And I want to help young people too, up and coming, and give them somewhere that's not that expensive. Somewhere they can come in and go, right, look, I have an idea, I've wrote this song, but I don't know where to go next. Come to me, I'll produce the whole thing for you. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to be charged them an arm and a leg, because there's times like I've been chatting to people, I've done things, and people have been reasonable too, but there's times like people have charged you a lot of money, and they don't really care either. Whereas if I'm invested in someone, I'll care about it, you know. So the studio was just ready for me to start, and now I want to open it up and have people in there. But if that going, I have my own music going, I've something maybe happening next year with TV, but I can't say nothing about it. And then I'm selling houses in Spain as well. So anybody looking at gaff in Spain, and Costa Blanca, give me a shout.
And you were saying about the music. Do you think you'll step away completely to producing, or are you still happy with?
No, I think, see, for years I wanted to just not do anything for myself at all. And then I started writing these songs, and I was like, they are very, very good. And I listen to a lot of music every day, and I listen and be like, well, my songs are just as good as that. And so I want to just. What I want to do is just solely focus. I've actually have it my diary, so there's just every day I'm going to be working on a song, I'm going to do the Woodridge kitchen thing, and just throw as much shit at the wall as I can.
See what sticks.
And just see what sticks, and just be creative. The one thing that I've never been in throughout my career is consistent, and that's just what I need to be. Just keep it going, because you can do one video that might do well. You could put up a video tonight, could do shit. You could put up one next week, could do well, and then you put up one a third week, could do shit. You just have to be consistent and keep at it. So. The music aspect of it is going to be me working on my own stuff, working on anybody else's, and just a whole range of things, just enjoying it, you know, enjoying the journey.
Very good. And I'm going to ask everyone as well in this pod, if you could give anyone advice for their own mental health, what works? I know some stuff doesn't work for everyone, but what works for you?
For me, get out. Experience things outside of your home. Go for a walk, go to the gym, go for a swim, go to a sauna, go to a steam room. If you're drinking excessively, stop drinking. If you're taking drugs, definitely stop taking drugs. If you smoke, stop that. Just anything that you feel is taking your mind away from yourself and being yourself, then stop it. You know what I mean? And anything that makes you feel like yourself, go and do.
It does seem like everything that you suggested there was very physical.
Yeah.
Would you like physically taking drugs, physically getting out,
Yeah.
having a swim, having a walk?
Do you mean for your mind?
Just no, I wasn't criticising. I was just saying, like, I know a lot of people are like you. They say, I feel like shit if I don't go for a walk in the morning. Or so do you feel like to make you feel better when you're being active? Is what I probably should have said.
I feel like shit if I have a lie-in in the morning. Like if I don't get up at 8:30, 9, then sometimes I lie in at 10 o'clock if I have a gig or whatever. But sometimes I still feel like, fuck's sake, why did I lie in that extra hour? Things like that, making your bed when you wake up in the morning. Like, don't be leaving your bed, tidying your room, having your room. Like, I have these wee smelly things now from Tenfire. Have you ever heard of Tenfire? No.
It sounds familiar, that's it.
It's a girl Dawn does it. They're unreal. They have this smell called the Oaks. No, for do you know Albert Allen? The Oaks Luxury Lodges, just beside the table. So they made a smell for that, and I went and bought a diffuser and a candle, sitting right beside my bed, and things like that.
I guess where I've seen it. I've seen it on Instagram, was it?
Instagram. And I wake up in the morning, I just smell it, and I'm like, oh, that's great. Then I get up and just doing things. Being proactive for you. That's what I think makes the mind go round. If you decide right to sit in the house or lie in your bed all day watching TV with the curtains closed in a dark room, it's shit, like, you know what I mean? And if the weather's shit outside and it's raining and it's dark and it's Christmas time and it's still making you feeling bad, well then go and sit in the sauna for 15 minutes. And soon you come out, your blood will be pumping, you'll be feeling great, go for a swim and just get into the gym and do something. I definitely think the gym is key, or walking or doing something. Like, I got a dog and I walked her 3 times a week and instantly I just felt far better, and the weight was dropping off me too. You know what I mean? And that's another thing too. If you feel like you're putting on weight, weight's another problem too. If you're putting on a bit of weight, it mentally destroys you. Like, just go and eat cleaner. Diet too is another thing.
Yeah,
I sound like a fucking PT.
I was gonna say, you'd think that I was. Doing it.
That's another thing. PT chef. Fuck's sake.
No, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, is that everything?
No, I think a lot of people, that is something a lot of people do say is, you know, everyone's different and people might not enjoy it, but you never know. There might be someone that is, like you say, sitting in a dark room, watching Netflix and wondering why their life's going to.
And if they don't want to go out and go for a walk, just take things slowly. Just do things. You know, don't be like, I do rush into things and do everything all at once. I'm always says, I mean, you need to calm down because you're just going to get fucked off again. And just do things slowly but surely. Changing your diet one day at a time. Like, see, before I would go to the gym, if I put on a lot of weight, and I would change my diet first for the first 2 weeks, so then I would lose a bit of weight and then go back to the gym, instead of going to the gym feeling overweight and then, you know, the joints and all, and then you probably get an injury or fucked. Just taking things at a time, one step at a time. So don't rush on this. But rush on it if you want to, you know. But if you don't feel like that, don't.
Oh, very good. Right, well, that's everything. Thanks very much for being a guest, and
thanks very much.
Hopefully to hear more about your studio. And
you all.
I'll try not to breathe alcohol over you next time you see you in the Thirsty Goat.
Don't worry. You can get me a drink as long as it's not on it.
Get a zero breathing. Alright, thanks very much. Anyone negatively affected by today's podcast, there are a number of links available in the bio to help. That's all from me. I will see you next week on That's Mental Mate.